Welcome to the Forge Your Future podcast, brought to you by East Central Educational Service Center, located in Newcastle, Indiana. We proudly provide service support and collaboration to 14 counties and 39 member districts.
At ECESC, we believe that students' strengths and interests are a blueprint to forging a future of success and impact. And we are on a journey to provide support and collaboration to schools as they implement career-connected learning for all students.
As part of this mission, we are here today to celebrate the amazing educators who help the students of East Central Indiana dream big dreams and achieve more than they thought possible.
Their work inspires us each day, and we want to lift up their stories and the stories of the students they are impacting and serving. Welcome to the Forge Your Future podcast. My name is Pat Haney, Executive Director of East Central Educational Service Center, located in Newcastle, Indiana. And co-hosting today is Lindsay Lovern, Instructional Specialist and Grant Coordinator here at East Central ESC. Hi, Lindsay. How are you today?
Hey, Pat. I'm good.
Well, good. It's a good day to be talking to some educators from our region. Tell us about the guest we're having on our podcast today.
Yeah. Today, we're excited to be joined by Peggy Muller, fourth grade science teacher at Nettle Creek Schools. Welcome, Peggy.
Hi.
All right. Well, we're just going to jump right in. Peggy, can you tell us about you and your professional background, as well as your why? What brings you to the classroom every day?
Okay, so this is my 31st year teaching, and I've only taught here at Hagerstown Elementary School. I've taught second grade. I taught third grade for 1 year. When I came to fourth grade, I taught in a self-contained fourth grade room. For the past 8, 9, 10 years, I'm not kind of all runs together. I've taught science for the fourth grade. I'm also a mentor teacher in the building, so lots of changes, but my whole career has been right here at Hagerstown. So my why, I'm really blessed to work in a district, in a building where they do value science in the elementary level. I've been called a unicorn by other districts, teachers that are teaching fourth grade, that I do get to teach science all day. So I really enjoy that. I tell everybody I have the best job in the building because I get to teach science to the 9 and 10-year-olds who are just really natural scientists. They are so curious. They ask all the questions, whether they relate or not, they ask them. But it's a cool developmental age for this because they're just starting to realize the bigger world and their relationship to it. And so that's a really cool place to be able to teach science for the first time to them. They get a chance to use their math skills. They get a chance to use these growing ELA skills in a place that maybe isn't as rigorous in writing, as rigorous in math. Plus, it's hands-on. I get that buy-in immediately. So just coming every day and seeing them excited, and kids who are maybe not as excited in some of the other classes because it's hard. And here, they have other ways to show what they know. So that's kind of my why these days.
Yeah, I absolutely love that, Peggy. And, for the next question that we are going to ask, obviously our podcast is called Forge Your Future, and working with students every day and for the last 31 years, which is amazing. Celebrate that for a second. You are building the future, and you have a better track than anyone else on what the future is going to look like. So what can you tell us about the leaders of the future that you work with every day at Hagerstown Elementary?
So this is an interesting question for me, because as I was kind of thinking about it, we don't really know what challenges these kids are going to face. I mean, you think about the challenges that are facing us now, that we don't quite know what they're going to face. I think that they will have some very serious challenges to face and to figure out. But so I kind of started thinking like, all right, so these fourth graders, what is a typical fourth grade mindset of the kids that I have? They ask questions. They're curious. An interesting thing that these kids really crave the hands-on experiences. Even with all of the technology that's available to us, they want to put their hands on things. They want to build. They want to experiment. They're collaborative. I do think they're adaptive. These are kids who came through COVID when they were very little. So maybe they're not developmentally purposely adapting, but I think it's kind of built into them to have to adjust to things. They're a little stubborn too, and so like you think about adult leaders, and aren't those good qualities? And I feel like it's our job then to foster the confidence and foster the collaboration and the critical thinking and the problem solving so that they can attack those problems that we can't teach them the answers to because we don't even know what that problem is going to be. And really also, I think it's really important. The kids are empathetic and they're collaborative, and to really foster that. So you have kids that are growing into adults and leaders that are not only like innovative, but they're also like people centered. So that's the kind of leaders that I hope we can create in the face of their questions and problems.
Yeah. Yeah, that was such a good answer. We've heard stubborn a lot from educators that we've spoken to in this series. But if I was trying to sum up what you just said, I love how you were so candid about we don't know what the future holds. We don't know what it's going to be. But you're going to help them be ready to problem solve and to have skills to face the unknown.
Yeah. I mean, could my fourth grade teacher have predicted the challenges that we're facing?
Right.
So it's like you can't. So you give them the tools, those bigger tools to carry with them, I think.
Yeah.
And science is a good place to do that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Well, and I would imagine that for your students, your room is pretty unique to any experience that they've had before coming up in school. And the way that you interact with them and are incorporating your standards and what's expected of them, I'm sure you have a lot of opportunity. And you were already talking a little bit about how that is differing from their ELA, their math. So for you, what does student success look like in your classroom?
So obviously, it's I learn success and that academic growth that has to be part of it. But on the daily, success for me looks like a growth in confidence, and realizing that they're capable learners. I don't know if you've ever looked at the fourth grade science standards, but they're rigorous and they're long and they're in depth, and being able to convince kids that they are capable of the vocabulary. They're capable of those really abstract kind of content. I mean, when I was in fourth grade, we were categorizing animals. Kids are transferring energy and, sound waves and just very abstract kind of things didn't have to do. So for me, it's the growing confidence in themselves as learners, showing that capability as the year goes through, a willingness to try at things and fail. I mean, that's that whole science engineering mindset that serves us all really good in life, no matter what we're doing. Seeing failure as learning and not as an end result. Along with that, then the growth in creative thinking and critical thinking. I think that all goes together, but they have to be willing to try and fail and not let that end their learning.
Yeah. I love that definition of success and thinking about growing in their confidence as a learner, kind of from that standpoint that success begets success, right? And getting them to buy into their agency and their ability as learners is so powerful. So I know all of that does not happen by accident.
No.
That takes a lot of intentional planning and work on your part. So talk to us more about the unique flavor to your classroom. What is your personal teaching superpower, and how do you develop your classroom, your curriculum, your instruction to bring about those moments of success and joyful learning?
Okay, so I think my teaching superpower, I had to think about this for a minute when I read that question. I think that it is my ability to set up the learning so that kids can master it at different levels. It's different in here. Kids that are maybe not the best readers, not the best writers, not the best math students, they can show their learning if they can build, if they can problem solve, if they can identify a variable and test it, if they know how things work. And so setting up lessons that hit everybody's strength. My lessons all start hands-on, because science isn't always taught in those early grades because the focus is math and reading skills. So when they come to me, they may have had a smattering here, a smattering there, but to say that those standards have really been mastered, when they come to me. So I have to also build background, gives them something to attach the new learning to. And it also makes it concrete, these abstract kinds of things. If we can put hands on it and model it some way, build it, then we at least are at a level playing ground. Kids that don't have that background, like, they're in the game now. Even though I'm trying really hard to meet every learner, like, my expectations are high for them. I don't water things down. The fourth grade standards are the fourth grade standards. But even though it's hard at the beginning of the year, before long, they have pride in the words that they're using and the way that they're able to describe what we're doing talking like a scientist, or, we make a big deal about that. And the fact that they meet those standards, like, I celebrate it all the time. This is not little kid science that we're doing. This is real science. These are the words that scientists use. And so those expectations are high, and it can be hard at the beginning sometimes, but they rise to it if you give them the ability to do it. They really do.
So Peggy, can you give us an example of an experiment or a project or something that you're doing with your students that you probably wouldn't have been able to in a traditional, all subjects, fourth grade classroom, but you can because of the way that you're able to focus just on science?
One thing that we do is, right now in our classroom, we have baby rats that come to us. They come to us when they're 3 weeks old. We used to get them through the Dairy and Nutrition Council, but now we get them through Taconic. They have an outreach, and they are wonderful. We wouldn't be able to do it if we didn't have that partnership. They deliver the baby rats. Every classroom has 2 rats. They're all from the same litter, sisters, and it's a nutrition experiment. So we have them for a month. They eat the same things, but we have a milk rat and a sugar water rat. It's like soda. So that's a big beginning of the year kind of things. The kids take care of the rats. They babysit the rats on the weekend. We're getting ready to send them home for their forever families. But that's a big uplift that I don't know. We used to do it when we were self-contained, but we've added some things that fall just in the science class, and we dig into the data, and they feel very, very close to these rats by the end of the month. That's one thing. A new experiment that I'm thinking of getting underway, it's called Tomato Sphere. And so it's a blind test. You don't know, but you get 2 packs of tomato seeds, and one has been to the space station, and the other is just earthbound tomato seeds. And then you grow them, and you're trying to figure out which one is which. So I was just talking to Mrs. Schaefer today about helping me set up some grow lights and tomato plants in the back of the room, because it's obviously an extended kind of test, but those are real science, and
Yes.
getting to put their hands on things that maybe they wouldn't be able to if I was teaching all the subjects.
Well, and the tomato one especially, but both of those are real experiments going on in research labs with adults whose job it is to do that. That's really exciting. Very cool. I'm so glad there are people in this world willing to do things with rats. I think we've made a lot of scientific discoveries that way. And
They're great pets, and they're curious, and they love the kids. After the first couple days, I think it's traumatic at first, but after the first couple days, they love the kids.
Peggy, before we started recording, you and Lindsay were talking about the Invention Convention, and could you share a little bit about that work and the collaboration that you have with some of the other teachers to pull that off?
Sure. So it used to be science fair that we did, and that was through Ball State. For the past several years, the focus in our standards is more like engineering design and design process. So we've been doing like a invention-based project. I've been involved. It's called Invention Convention, and at first there wasn't even an Indiana affiliate, but now there is. It's through 4-H. It's a great program. But it's a little expensive. If kids who go from our school, the next step is Indianapolis. It involves a bus. It's, there's a fee, definitely worth it. But what we're going to try, we, meaning myself and the 6th grade science teacher, Mr. Ward, we're going to try to keep it local, and have kids develop their product. And then we're going to add, which was part of the Invention Convention, this part of this pitch, where they have to sell their product to investors. We're not quite sure how that's going to look. We might try to get local people in to evaluate not only their product, their research, how applicable it is to actually be sold, and then this pitch. So it's not been fleshed out yet, but that's our goal. And it's exciting to know that we're going to work with the 6th graders. I think that's going to be really motivating for the kids.
yeah, and bringing in your local community, as well.
Yep.
They'll start to see what these kids can do.
Yep.
And then vice versa, the kids can make their career connections with people in the local workforce. So I think that's great. Awesome. All right. Well, to finish up here, we have a couple of kind of more hot take questions for you that we've been asking our folks. And the first one is, tell us something you wish everyone knew about teachers.
Okay. So in the list of questions, this was probably the most difficult, because there's a million things, right? I guess when it comes right down to it, teachers are genuinely passionate about success for their students. I hope people know that. But I know that unless you live it, we live it every day, maybe it's always a good reminder for people that teachers are really passionate people, and they make this choice to spend their day with your children, and it's a big responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. And Peggy, I wondered if you could talk a little bit also about your work as a mentor teacher in your school and in your district. That's a little bit unique too. And I think it'd be helpful, obviously, as you think about the way that teachers are supported and how, what does that look like for you in your district as a mentor teacher?
So we have 3 mentor teachers at the elementary level, and we support teachers with the professional development that we're given. We have it's called Cluster once a week, and that is targeted professional development. So one thing we do is help teachers apply that back to the classroom, support them by, watching them teach or team teaching. Sometimes we actually give support in the cluster lesson just to be there while the learning is happening. I also get my professional development on another day. We have so much support here at our district. So we also work with teachers building up to their observation, helping them build a lesson that will showcase their abilities in that time frame. We participate in weekly meetings with admin. It's called our ILT. It's helping to develop longer range goals, what's taught for professional development. And then once a month, the mentors, we meet as a district with the high school mentors and master teacher. And then it's kind of a 50,000 foot view, like what's coming kind of down from admin. But feel like I have a voice here after, and it's very teacher centered. I think I learn more from the people I work with than they learn from me, but it's been amazing to do that.
Yeah. So, you learn just by being in and out of so many classrooms, you learn so much, and you get to see all of those other teaching superpowers around you that otherwise maybe you would have never have known about.
We have a building of superheroes for sure. For sure.
I love it.
Well, and how beneficial that you're able to do all of those observations and collaboration while you're still in the classroom. So all of, you take in the best things from so many people and can then apply that. I know a lot of people only get to do that when they're in a more administrative role. And then I've heard many times oh, I wish if I go back to the classroom, there's so many things I would change because I've gotten to see the way all these different people teach, and I've learned so much. But for you, that's the reality. You get to have that experience, and you get to adapt and grow what you're doing in the classroom based on that.
100%.
All right, Peggy, we always wrap up with one very important question. This is kind of a tradition on our podcast, and we always ask, what are you recommending right now? Tell us about something you'd be excited to recommend to others. Could be anything from a book to a blog, a show, a new habit, personal or professional. What do you want to tell your friends about?
Okay, so there's this thing called Fat Bear Week, and it takes place in Katmai National Park in Alaska. And these bears are the biggest brown bears on the planet. And what they do is they go to this falls, and the salmon are running. And so they have to eat and build up their fat stores for hibernation. And this week, 1 week a year, and it happens to be right now, they put these bears into these brackets, and you get to vote. And it's single elimination. And the website gives you the background of these bears, and it tells you it shows you a picture of them 3 weeks or 3 months ago, and you learn all about these bears, and then you get to vote on who's going to be the fat bear of the season. And they have names like Flotato and Chunk and Grazer. So this Flotato he eats so much and then he just floats on his back. Next year, I'm doing something with the kids because it's all about ecosystems and adaptation and conservation. And the National Park website has just oodles and oodles of cross-curricular kind of things. I'm going to put the bracket up in the hallway. I'm obsessed with it right now. It's all I talk about at lunch and got my teammates on board. So I recommend looking at.
Okay. So when is Fat Bear Week?
It's right now.
Oh, it's okay.
Right now. And if you just look up Fat Bear Week, Katmai National Park, you'll see it.
Okay.
And they have video streams of the bears and it's fantastic. The National Park Service, they're genius.
Love it. That's amazing. So our listeners, they can participate next year.
Yeah. Or
put it on their calendar to,
yes.
And we'll find that website and link it in as well.
I'm pulling for Flotato. I want Flotato to win.
That might be my favorite recommendation so far. You've heard of
Fat Bear
Shark Week, but maybe not a Fat Bear Week.
Fat Bear Week. Because they lose like 30% of their weight when they hibernate. So, but the learning is going to be amazing. So
I had to go grab this, thinking about what, Peggy, you were talking about, being scientists in your classroom and talking like a scientist, and really that can help shift mindsets to more of a growth mindset rather than like a pass-fail kind of thing. Because if you're doing trial and error as a scientist, you have many failures all the time, but that actually is like on your path to success. And this book that I'm reading is all about that, Tiny Experiments by Anne Lecomte. She is a formal, I'm probably going to say this wrong, formal Google coding computer, very smart in that way, started a new career as a neuroscientist when she felt like the goal driven world that she was immersed in was like not serving her well. And so her book is all about, shifting your mindset on your work and goal setting to a more growth mindset and a scientific mindset where you're doing tiny experiments that are not pass fail. It's what can I learn from this? And how can I stay curious to get the information I need to help me, rather than just how do I keep following a linear script to succeed, which isn't a real thing, but the world can sometimes tell us that that's a thing.
And I think that's the message a lot of kids have about school. So, yeah. Okay. I wrote that down. After Fat Bear Week, I will.
Yeah. So that, definitely more of a read for teachers and educators, but lots that can apply. And it sounds like things that you're already doing with your students as well, as far as getting them to think and talk like scientists and use that vocabulary. So wanted to share. It's been on my the back burner of I should talk about this sometime because it's very interesting and I'm really enjoying it. And it was just the perfect tie-in.
Absolutely. Well, and Peggy, I just wanted to celebrate for a moment 31 years in the classroom and always continuing to learn and stretch yourself. This was a joy to be a part of today. And now I want to come visit your classroom and see all the great things that are happening. So thank you so much for what you do. Thank you for what you do for kids and our communities. And thank you for being a part of our podcast today.
Sure, come visit us anytime.
Sounds great. Thank you for listening to the Forge Your Future podcast. We hope that this glimpse into the bright future of East Central Indiana inspires you and brings you hope.
We have the privilege to work with these future makers every day and want to share their stories throughout Indiana and beyond.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, please share it with your circle and let's keep the conversation going.
You can connect with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, X, and on our website.
Until next time, remember that your strengths and interests are a blueprint to your future of success and impact.